welcome back to Study in Australia, live from Bonj University. Up next, we're going to talk about all things career development. Bonj graduates are ranked the best in Australia, boasting the highest employer satisfaction rating in the country. So what makes graduates stand out? Well, in addition to their academic program, Bonj students have access to an array of services designed to improve their employability and prepare them to excel after graduation. Many of those services are offered by the Career Development Centre, and joining me in the studio right now is Aiko Fujino, the Manager of International Career Development. Great to see you, Aiko. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, we're so grateful that you could be here. Can you tell us a little bit about the range of services that the Career Development Centre offers Canadian students?
Absolutely. Within the Career Centre office, we have a range of professional staff members, ranging from the business development team to the career counsellor team. The business development team works throughout the year to secure excellent work experience opportunities for students, no matter what degree you're in. And the career counsellors day to day can help all Canadian students with everything from CV updating to LinkedIn status updating to interview skills to workshops in actually engaging with employers and having that confidence once they're in the interview stages.
I remember actually using the services. I loved it. I learned a lot about myself through, what I wanted to do. So thank you for that. Bonj graduates are regarded so highly by employers. What does Bonj do differently with their students that gives them that edge?
I think it comes down to a lot to do with the staff to student ratio, that we're actually able to engage with students so closely one-on-one, whether it be those small points like CV updating and interview skills beforehand, or whether it be working with someone like myself to say if you wanted some work experience overseas. It could be a Canadian student looking to source some opportunities back in their hometown or at least their home country. They can come to me, have a very specialised one-on-one appointment, and we can talk about what their goals are and when's the best time to do these experiences throughout their degree.
That's fantastic. You can help people who want to go back to Canada. I'm
Absolutely.
sure people watching right now are relieved to hear that. It's an excellent service. You've actually been to Canada yourself. Can you give us a bit of a snapshot of that experience?
Certainly. In these recent years when I was more fortunate to travel, I have travelled from West Coast to East Coast, so Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto are obviously the big spots to hit in Canada, but it's been a pleasure. I will work with industry, so sometimes I'll work with HR members within certain organisations to some of our graduates who are now based back in those cities, and have established their own firms. Sometimes they're so graceful and gracious, to offer students some work experience if ever they're back during some semester breaks or just when they finish their degree.
It's so awesome to hear that. I just feel reassured knowing you can go to the other side of the world, but you'll be taken care of when you're home.
Absolutely.
I just think that's awesome. What about alumni? Are there opportunities for students to connect with Canadian Bonj alumni as well?
There certainly is. I guess when you're studying on campus, we have very, very helpful students through organisations like the Canadian Law Students Association, for example. They have an alumni director on their group every semester, so they help me engage with alumni who are back overseas. Staff members, my colleagues such as Stuart, he's so well connected with the alumni community back in Canada, and I'm so pleased to say that Vancouver and Toronto, for example, have really, really great networks going at the moment, and they're more than happy to help current Bondies, current students, if ever they have any questions for when they graduate.
You're making me want to travel there now, and I'll definitely be asking you for where all the Canadian parties are, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Aiko. You do an amazing job. Keep it up. Now, the career support is just one of the many services that all Bonj students get access to. These services, as well as Bonj's accelerated schedule, all contribute to the value of Bonj student experience. I'll see you back in the studio in a moment, but first, let's break down the value of a Bonj degree.
We think Plato got it right. There are fewer decisions in life more important than selecting your career, and choosing the right university makes all the difference between an ordinary and an extraordinary career. Or should we say, life. So, you're at a crossroad. Not only are you unsure of where your future career will take you, You're unsure which university is best equipped to guide you, door A or door B. So how do you compare? Let's break it down. First of all, what do you want to be in life? Ambition is a very personal thing, and success means different things to different people. So let's assume you know what you want to be. All you need to work out is how you're going to get there. The answer seems obvious. Study the relevant degree, right? Wrong. Employer feedback is loud and clear that a student's degree is just one element required for a successful career. And this is where it gets tricky. Beyond a degree, employers are looking for the total package. Life experience, international exchange, industry experience, extracurricular participation, global perspective. So how can a university help each and every student achieve their own personal ambition while ticking all the boxes? Consider it this way. A good education is measured on its inputs. Experienced professors? Check. Industry-relevant curriculum? Check. But you'd expect this of any university. A great education is measured on its outcomes. Imagine the impact you can make on your career and your competition with personal introductions to international blue-chip firms. Consider the advantages of choosing a university that measures its success on your outcomes. A university that shares your success and nurtures your ambition, where 100% of tuition fees are reinvested back into the university to provide a better experience for you. For our school leavers, think of the transition from a 30-student classroom to the university environment. Ask yourself, which option will you cope with? Scrap that. Which option will you thrive in? Challenged and supported by a team of experienced mentors, from world-class academics to industry-savvy career consultants, all focused on helping you unlock your inner potential. That's the Bonj advantage, and it's this unique quality which will help you reach the heights of your ambition, whatever that might be. Sounds exclusive, right? Wrong. It's actually the most inclusive university experience you'll find. Imagine sharing your university days with like-minded students from all around the world, studying in small classes and forming a close-knit and highly supportive network of your peers, using the latest software, equipment and resources that you don't have to queue to use. It all adds up to greater access, greater outcomes, a greater career. So if your ambition is to save money, take door A and get ready to queue. If your ambition is to think bigger, to go further, if you're determined to achieve something extraordinary, your choice is clear. Because when it comes to choosing your university, the true measure isn't cost, it's value. And so Plato's saying is just as relevant now as it was over 2,000 years ago. In the end, the equation is simple. Do you want a degree, or do you want to bring your ambition to life?
Well, I can personally vouch for how valuable the Bonj University experience is. I've made it pretty clear how excited I am about it, and I actually wouldn't be standing here today if I hadn't studied at Bonj, so that's pretty cool. Now, like all universities, there are fees associated with studying. Fortunately, Canadian students are able to access student loans, and Bonj even has a dedicated Canadian financial aid expert to help students along the journey and provide personal support. To give us an overview of the student loan system, we've got Stuart on the line to cover the key things we need to know about financial aid. Hello again, Stuart. How are you enjoying the broadcast?
Doing well, thanks, Candice. It's going great.
Excellent. Now, can Canadians get student loans from Canada while they're studying at Bonj?
Yes, so Bond University is registered with both the Canadian Federal Loan Program and all of the provincial loan organisations.
So do they have to pay interest on the loans during their time at Bonj?
No, as long as you're enrolled in a 60% full-time load, then you don't have to pay interest while you're studying. And as an international student, all Canadians will need to maintain full-time continuing study. So that means that you will not be paying interest while you're studying at Bond.
Ooh, that's a bonus. I like the sound of that. So what is the process of applying for Bonj?
So once you have an offer to study at Bond, the first thing you'll need to do is submit an application online via your province's financial assistance website. So OSAP in Ontario, BC Student Aid in BC, Alberta Student Aid in Alberta, etc.
Okay, so once the approvals are all complete, when are those funds released?
So once the forms have then come through and been signed off by Bond, from there you will sort of fill out the confirmation of enrollments, and then the funds are typically released just before or around about the start of the semester.
Is the money then sent to Bond the same way it works with Canadian universities?
No, it's a little bit different. So, because we're an international university, the money will actually be sent direct to you as the student. So, you'll be responsible for still paying your fees direct to Bond. It's important to note that the tuition fees are due before Friday of week one. Before the Friday before week one of classes, which means that sometimes the provincial loans may not come until after you've started. So you need to be aware of that and make sure you've got all of your funding in place, potentially from other sources as well.
So, exactly how much could you receive in a student loan?
So it depends from the government or the provincial student loans and financing. It could range anywhere from 10,000 a year up to 40,000 a year, depending on your circumstances and the province in which you reside. So that's not going to be enough to cover all of your fees and tuition expenses. So you will need to look at other things like bank loans, bank lines of credit, etc.
Do they cover living expenses as well?
Yes, so the money that you get, you can use to put towards your living expenses or your tuition costs, or however you want to split that up. So that's again the beauty of the money being sent direct to you from the government.
That's of course the fun part, the living expenses, another word for don't say a holiday. In my opinion, all of the guys I used to hang out with, I felt like they were on holiday when they studied here. It's just so beautiful with all the beaches. You mentioned obviously bank and other lending facilities. What funding options are available?
So each of the big banks in Canada, so CIBC, TD, BMO, Scotia, etc., all have a professional student loan or line of credit. So especially for programs like law or physiotherapy, you can typically borrow anywhere from about 80,000 up to in some cases 250,000 or more, depending on your own personal circumstances. So there's lots of products out there. It's important to consider obviously your own financial circumstances and to talk to your bank.
Well, thanks for all of that information, Stuart. You're extremely knowledgeable. We also know that accommodation is obviously a huge consideration when students are exploring the option of moving to Australia. What options are there for students when it comes to budgeting and, of course, different types of accommodation around here?
So tuition fees are one thing. Living expenses are another thing that students need to take into account. So we usually recommend that Canadian students budget around $25,000 per year for all of their non-tuition expenses. So housing, food, rent, travel, etc. There's lots of great options, both on campus and close to campus. Our on-campus facilities are generally more focused at undergraduate students, those who are school leavers, so first time away from home. They're quite young focused and lots of pastoral care. For our graduate students, there are lots of great options off campus. And so there are houses, units, rental properties, etc., all within about a minute to 2 minute walk to campus. This is some shots of some of those, and you can see there, as you said, it looks almost like a resort right on the lakes there. Some students choose to live close to campus, others choose to live by the beach, and there's lots of great transport networks all over the Gold Coast to get you to campus and where you need to go.
It is a beautiful campus. In fact, I've even been back here just to sit on the beautifully manicured grass. Well, that brings us to the end of this part of the broadcast, Stuart. So, how did you find the sessions overall?
It was great to hear from ICO about the Career Development Centre and all of the work that they do for Canadian students, both in Australia and also back in Canada, and the connections they have with alumni and employers. I think it's also great for students to really be planning their financial aid and how they're going to cover their costs. All of our tuition fees are listed on the program pages for each degree on the website. Scroll down to program fees, and those fees are listed in Australian dollars and for international students. At the same time, if you want some more information on the financing options, definitely go to our Bonj website and just do a search for Canada. Click on the first link, which will just be titled Canada. Scroll down to Financing Your Studies, and you'll actually see links to all of the provincial loan organisations, as well as all of the banks in Canada and their products for Canadian students in terms of financing and loans, etc. So we try and make it as easy as possible for you to find that information.
Well, thank you again. We'll be back shortly to cover the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine, including a deep dive into physiotherapy, nutrition and dietetic practice and occupational therapy. Remember to register your details to stay in touch with us and go into the draw to win a $1,000 Best Buy voucher.